Hello, this is Todd Bowman, and I'm here today to do a follow-up to the recent seminar that you attended, specifically looking at sexual positions and the role that sexual positioning plays in either facilitating connection in the relationship or detracting from connection and intimacy in the relationship. One of the things at the seminar that you heard was the importance of eye-to-eye contact, face-to-face contact, skin-to-skin contact. Not just as a non-sexual behavior, but introducing those behaviors into the sexual experience that takes place in the marriage relationship as well. In more recent years, culturally, there's been a high value placed on high stimulating visual sexual activity. Some of those have to do with oral sex or with different positions that allow for typically the male to dominate the female, or if the male is going to be submissive, laying on his back with a female straddling him. There's a lot of, again, visual stimulation that's taking place instead of connective stimulation. In all those scenarios, with male dominance or kind of rear entry types of sexuality, with kind of female dominated or female straddle on top types of sexuality, and with oral sex, again, there's not that close face-to-face, eye-to-eye contact. Now, this isn't to say that those aren't a part of the sexual relationship that you might negotiate. However, the issue here, especially within the O model, is that the priority is to be found in experiences sexually that are very connective, that are producing oxytocin. In each of those examples that I just described, those positionings don't allow for a lot of skin-to-skin contact. If it's eye-to-eye contact, it's from a distance, if at all. And then lastly, there's not a lot of face-to-face, mouth-to-mouth kissing. So again, there's lots of room within how the sexual relationship is negotiated for there to be eye-to-eye contact, face-to-face contact, and high skin-to-skin contact, but still have a variation of sexual encounter and sexual experience within the marriage. One of the questions that I get all the time is, does this mean we can just use the missionary position to engage one another sexually? You know, my frequent response is, no, that's not at all true. That is a way of facilitating high face-to-face, eye-to-eye, and skin-to-skin contact. That's kind of an opportunity, again, as we think about oxytocin, to prime the body and to produce quite a bit of oxytocin. However, there's also opportunity, even with some of the modifications to sexual experiences, again, a rear entry position or a way to take what's kind of colloquially known as doggy style and turn that into more of a high pair bonding experience, is instead of the high dominance, control, power that tends to go on the visual stimulation that happens as men are engaged in rear entry intercourse, is to engage in more of a spooning or a side-by-side where the male can be kissing the female's neck. There can be face-to-face contact, eye-to-eye contact, and again, there's a lot of skin-to-skin contact. There's holding, there's warmth. Again, it's a variation of the sexual experience that still fits within those three primary mechanisms for creating closeness, for literally facilitating a neurological experience of becoming one, not just in a sexual context, but in an emotional and a spiritual context as well. So again, in just this brief takeaway, what I want you to hear is that there's opportunity for variation in the sexual experience, but there's also boundaries that need to be placed in the sexual experience as well. Otherwise, we're creeping into those high dopamine, high adrenaline, high stimulation types of activities that are much more defined by an orgasmic, pleasure-centric type of moment, instead of a pair bonding, oxytocin-producing kind of moment in the relationship. The reason this is so important is literally in engaging in these high stimulation, high dopamine producing, high adrenaline producing types of intercourse, we're resetting our brain's threshold for pleasure. We're literally creating an expectation of sexual experience in a relationship that's really hard to match with any type of frequency. Again, in the O model, we talk about there has to be this kind of passionate, pleasurable, orgasmic-based experience. So it's not saying that that place can't be visited, but the health of sex in the relationship is found in the tension between, we might visit there, but the more frequent sexual experience for us is centered around connection, is centered around high eye-to-eye contact, face-to-face contact with lots of kissing, as well as skin-to-skin contact that is found in the holding and caressing that takes place in that sexual moment.